I also have familiar faces tonight here, like AJ, Mr. Don De Silva, Nicole. They are all names who have participated as speakers in our previous My Faith in Environment series.
My name is Don De Silva. I was a former director of the United Nations Environment Program. I also attended the 1972 United Nations Conference on the Human Environment, the First Earth Summit, and then worked with UNEP for quite a while. Really going to encourage Religions for Peace to continue with this work, Edda, in terms of what you're doing with My Faith in the Environment. It is through dialogues like this, and I hope that the information that has been given in this discussion will be disseminated much more widely. Just to say that as this is taken within the ambit of faith and the environment, I just like to point out to you that the initiator in the United Nations, who first in 1979 called for and gave proposals to establish the First Earth Summit, reading the environmental protests that were going around in 1968-69, was the third Secretary General of the United Nations, and that's U Thant. He was a devout Buddhist, and he read the worldwide environmental concerns at the time and then presented a paper, the Report on the Human Environment, which led to the creation of the Earth Summit and then UNEP and all the other initiatives that have taken place in the world since then. But of course, before that, I'd like to also just say in passing that the Buddha, some 2,500 years ago, highlighted the interdependence of phenomena and the linkages between conditions and phenomena, between people and nature at great length. But also, one important thing which the Buddha highlighted is the need for inclusivity in terms of ensuring that we have people from all backgrounds, disadvantaged communities, going beyond caste in particular, beyond race, and also highlighting the importance of the liberation of women in the whole area of dealing with climate change, because the Glasgow Summit Declaration highlighted this holistic approach. I'd like to also just point out that in many ways, or also before going into it, just to inform you that the first climate change meeting was organized by my former boss in 1974. Now, there are always in the environment movement the ups and the downs, and we have had to go through many attempts at trying to belittle the environment movement or belittle climate change. But it is fantastic to see now that there is much greater acceptance by the powers that be about the importance of sustainability and climate change. It was not the case then. And some of us who highlighted sustainability issues in the world arena paid a heavy price for doing so in our own careers and so on. Also, what is important is that this requires both the efforts of the old and the young. I'd like to also point out to the younger ones that there are a number of older people who didn't sit back and do nothing. They also took the initiatives to take action. And it is also as a result of those that you see the benefits of greater awareness concerning climate change and outlining sustainability across the world and the actions that it has highlighted. I'd like to just end by saying that faith and environment are two sides of the same coin. You cannot initiate sustainability or bring about climate change or the positive aspects to deal with climate change without the world of faith and without the world of values. They both go together, and there has to be a paradigm shift in the thinking of the world in terms of a value-based shift to deal with climate change and bring about sustainability across the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Nicole Travnicek, she was one of our speakers at part 1 of the My Faith and Environment. And Nicole, sorry for spotting you now, but I'm interested in finding out, how your work is going forward. I know you are very passionate and you are doing great job in this field.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole. I'm from the Brahma Kumaris, and thank you for your inspirations and everything that you shared tonight. So, as I said, I'm from the Brahma Kumaris, and lately we have done various events. So either you know about previous ones, but lately, just for example, for the World Environment Day, internationally, there were different activities and events organized. So we have a variety of meditation centers all over the world, really. So that took place. And then recently also in the UK, we had a green audit of all the meditation centers. So the people who were the head of the meditation center, if you would want to call it like that, they organized a meeting with all their regular students, and they were kind of discussing what things could be improved regarding the environment and concrete steps forwards. So that was also really productive to do, like in your community. I found that really productive and effective to sit down with your own community and think about what we ourselves could improve. Then we also have a training which is called Green Champions Training, and this is fairly new. I think it was first developed last year, and this is basically to educate and empower regular students of the Brahma Kumaris in environmental matters, so that then they can also hold like talks or organize workshops for other people, but it's mainly thought for the community. So there is more education available within the organization itself. And there's also a meditation organized every month, which is called the Green Wave Meditation, which is organized online. And it's kind of like a doodle poll where you can add your at least 15-minute slot. Everyone can put their name down for a 15-minute slot. So that would mean that you dedicate your 15 minutes of meditation for nature. And that's quite nice in the way of it's really like a green wave where, there's special thought given to nature. So I find that very nice as well, and connecting as a community. I think these were the latest developments.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for sharing your part. AJ is from our part 2, My Faith and Environment. And
hi, everyone. Very glad to join you. So I'm AJ. I'm based in the UK. I'm based in London. And I'm the national coordinator for Young Humanists UK. So humanism, for those who don't know, is a non-religious movement that's based on science, reason, human empathy, and it seeks to give a worldview and a perspective and a holistic way of life for people who don't belong to a religious faith. So I think it falls under the category of a faith and belief system. And humanism is a worldwide movement. It has roots in many parts of the world, but also has a very deep root in the UK. And for us, I mean, just from the UK context, we can see that in some ways, the figures and demographics show us that religion is declining. the 2019 figures of one survey, the British Social Attitude Survey, show that 70% or so of 18 to 25-year-olds in the UK have no daily relevance or identity towards a religious faith at all. Now, that's I personally, even though I'm not religious myself, that's still a big part of I like working with religions, and I'm a big believer in interfaith cooperation. So whether that's a good, how we feel about that is a good thing or a bad thing, I think there's the reason why I'm part of humanist volunteering efforts is to make sure that those people, if they feel they're spiritual but not religious, or they're just completely secular, or they're atheist or agnostic or whatever they are, that they're still involved in campaigns like this for things as crucial as the environment or anti-war and many other campaigns that humanists run. And humanists are very much value human rights, peace, democracy, accountability, women's rights, LGBT plus rights, etc. And environmentalism is very much a part of that. And maybe a bit too late in the humanist movement in the UK, at least. I'm not sure if there's humanist movements in the countries that you're based, but I would encourage you to get in touch with them, especially in the West and Western countries, maybe not so much in other parts of the world, because this secular tendency is increasing. And I think building bridges and working with a possibly increasing parts of a demographic which is non-religious or doesn't fall into the major world religions is important to make sure that we don't lose traction in gaining the next generation's participation in environmental movements. So we founded Humanist Climate Action, which is one section of Humanist UK. I'm from Young Humanist, that's one section, mainly focused on youth. But there's also Humanist Climate Action in the UK that was founded in 2021. Probably should have been a bit earlier. And we just actually come from our national conference a few weeks ago in Liverpool, where it was given some motions and national recognition and voted through how urgent it is. And we've done many of the, not quite as extensive as all of the lovely stories that you've shared, but tree planting, certainly lobbying, campaigning, social media campaigns, in some sense, our battle is to try and persuade a perhaps disenfranchised, certainly youth contingent, but also middle-aged people in the UK who are increasingly becoming disenfranchised with movements, campaigns. I think Marilyn mentioned social media negativity. We're trying to combat that, and especially if people don't have a religious faith, to say, well, you still need to be part of a movement. You still need to fight for things. Otherwise, if you're just sort of none of the above and you let things just pass you by, then unfortunately, the people with the power brokers in the in society, and I think Don also mentioned climate change skepticism and things like that, they will gain more traction because they are very organized. So that's a big part of our campaigning, is to actually reach out to people who do consider themselves humanist, or humanist in all but name. They don't call themselves humanist, but they're none of the above. I'm not Christian, I'm not Muslim, I'm not Hindu, and so on. But okay, but here's an identity that is based on science, reason, not necessarily a belief in God. Whatever you want, it's your individual choice. We support and tolerate and work with all faith and belief backgrounds. But if you are a humanist, we're trying to get them activated and involved in humanist climate action. And that's kind of the story from the UK perspective. So feel free to reach out through Edda or directly to me. I'll leave my email in the chat, and hope to contribute and work more with Religions for Peace going forward.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you. Good evening. Happy to be with you. I'll use my camera. I'm not quite where there's light. I'm from Cameroon. So happy to be part of this movement, and especially talking about climate change and sustainable development. I should rather say I was ignorant of it, and while joining an organization back here, an association, Family Health and Development Foundation, I got to be taught on climate change, reason why I'm even on this meeting. And just recently, we have planted some trees here in Cameroon, Yaoundé, of course, in one of the communities. And I should rather say I appreciate so much what we have been doing so far and what we have been taught on how to sustainably protect our environment. I should say I was inspired when I saw our dad sharing his experience on climate and protecting our climate, going along with our faith, because we should say that we cannot separate climate with faith. And I'm happy to be part of you and believing to learn more as time goes on. So I want to appreciate all of you, and even thanks to Father Def, which have given me an opportunity also to be learning on climate change, and to Madam Sikala, who is also connected. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Akam.
I think in India, especially, we are talking more about river conservation, and also like these are the things we are like constantly hear about, and also we are more concerned about, and also like marine ecosystem, like especially we are from the coastal area, like I'm from the south, and we are having the coastal like sea rise as a big issue, and also there are like lots of faith connection in it, like especially when we talk about Kerala coastal region, there is like a predominantly Christian communities are living there. So it's also like I can see the interconnection between how the faith groups are coming up for their rights, and also talking about the lack of resources, and also they are really worried about the wild fishing, and also the plastic pollution, like marine pollution. So these are the like I feel these are the hot topics that we are having, and also the protests and organizations are mostly working on these issues that are coming up, and they are pressing more for like about like uh, preventing the use of plastics and trying to clean up the beaches. So these are more actions are happening at this part of the world, and also there are issues of coal, but I feel like they are like more unaddressed, like people are not coming, I'm not saying not coming up or generalizing things, but it's not visible. Maybe there are activities, but it's still like not that much visible, but the things about like conservation and ecosystem restoration are more visible, and young people are more keen on like what's happening at the coastal or river areas, like river conservations.
Thank you, Greshma. Dr. Leland or Marilyn, would you like to add on to this question?
I'd like to just say something, Ira. Just to touch on one remark made by Mr. Don. You know, he spoke about careers and how sustainability and climate change has affected many careers, and it wasn't a thing that was recognized in the past as compared to it being recognized now, and seeing that the urgency and the importance of it. Like, I'm also an architectural technologist, and I work with social and sustainable architecture. And yeah, I totally agree with what he says. Like, in terms of Korea, we've been promoting sustainability and green technology for ages, and it hasn't been recognized or taken seriously, especially like I can say in South Africa, because the systems are still coal movement. The systems are not looking into like the solar energy and tapping into wind power and recycling of water. I mean, the current situation I experience every day for 2 years now, we get water shedding. For 8 hours in a day, we don't have water. Currently, like today, the whole of today, I had no water. And also we experience the other thing called load shedding, where we don't have electricity. So we get like 4 to 6 hours of power cuts every day. And it's like, you can see that the system is trying to say, do things differently, you know, look at different ways, innovation, technologies. I was talking to one person from Habitat Foundation, and they were saying the vetiver grass, they actually did an experiment where they could use it to replace coal to provide energy. And even to in all our projects, like we use biodigesters, even in our architectural projects, we use recycling of rainwater systems. And, you know, we created our own biodigester. You take your offcuts and waste from your kitchen, your vegetables, you put it in the biodigester, and you get gas to cook for you. So there's so many systems. There's so many innovative ways of doing things. There's even fossils. But it's like nobody is willing to go that extra mile to explore it. There was one company I know that takes computer parts and old computers and they recycle it into tiles. And they actually use it to build roofs. And even to, like, we found by using the technology of earth bricks that or just orientating your building to face north, that in winter it is completely warm and in summer it's completely cool, that there's no need for air conditioning or heaters. It just brings down the whole radiant energy of your building. So, but the challenge is the system is so used to doing the things the way it does that it hasn't seen that the climate is changing, the world is changing, and we need to adapt and change to a more resilient way of doing things. So I found that this to be very challenging in my profession because it's still the old system way of doing things. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on what AJ commented about humanist, in terms of, not relating to a religion. I found that so intriguing because at the World Assembly, 10th World Assembly in Lindau, I was on a youth media team and I did a lot of interviews with a lot of people. And there were a lot of people that were atheists or didn't belong to a religion. But they were actually there with Religions for Peace, being part of the organization and movement by just wanted to be part of the community service and the various topics that AJ commented on, whether it's gender-based violence or all these movements because they want to be part of it. So it's interesting. And what I found that these people, the more I engaged with them and I spoke with them, they were actually very spiritual, even though they didn't associate themselves to a religion. And the last thing I want to comment on is AJ's comment about the Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil. I did see some of those youth videos where they were like using paint and vandalizing on stuff. And, when I looked at it, for me, it was like when I work with my youth work, for me, it's about what are the movement we want to create and what positives are we putting in the movement. So for us, it's been like trying to direct that energy and that action into a positive way. We had a huge march, as I mentioned earlier, with 30 organizations, and Just Stop Oil is part of it, and including Extinction Rebellion. And they were part of it, and they were like, we marched with them, and we signed memorandums, and we had court cases, with people to talk about like these oil productions and all these companies that's polluting and stuff. So, but what I found is when I did that workshop at a Festival of Alternatives, I met a lot of angry activists. Angry activists are people that are passionate, but they're just so angry about everything. They don't know how to redirect their energy. And so that is why I also believe, as Don said, you can't exclude faith from the environment. Faith is important to the environment because it also gives a grounding, a sense of understanding the holistic picture. And in one of our workshops, when we went through each faith and each teaching, everybody had a certain appreciation, even though they didn't belong to a faith or they didn't relate to a faith, but we saw the appreciation of other people's beliefs as well and how they would connect to the earth. So I found this is to be a way of redirecting and channeling the negative energy into a positive way, in a small way, in a local way, where we're working.
Thank you, Marilyn. I see a couple of hands. I'm so sorry that I kept you waiting. Vasu, would you like to share your bit or ask your question?
Thank you so much, Ida. Yes, of course. I would like to share. I'm Vasubandhu. I serve as a monk in the Buddhist community, and I also serve in the International Youth Committee of Religions for Peace. So I would like to share that I'm based in the United States. I'm Mexican, but here in the United States, we are working on heat relief because the extreme heat in the state of Arizona have killed people. So I wonder if you may have any experiences in your countries or other countries in which you experience extreme heat, and how do your community respond to the extreme heat? Thank you.
I'll I'm trying to be also mindful of time. But so if that's okay, I'll take also Francois's question or story, so she can share, and then maybe our speakers can answer very briefly both of the questions, if that's okay. Hi, Francois. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Mindful of time, I'll really be brief, and it's another exciting opportunity to be here. There are many faces that I do recognize. We've been working closely with Eco Pistin Cafe, with Greshma in many youth programs, both in the English and the French-speaking zone, as well as Nelly. And I'm glad that Edwin is here and he's sharing. He's one of our youths that is really picking up what we are doing in our organization. And he's already training other children in the climate. And recently for the Environmental Day, we did plant some fruit trees that are also used for medicinal. That is the moringa tree that is used for food as vegetables and also as a medicinal plant. And not only did we plant it, we also shared to the neighbors in the community, because we are really community-based. We also shared to some neighbors to plant as well. And so for us, it was planting the tree of love, and we gathered the children to extend some love to them. At the end of this exercise, we had to share some dresses with the children in the community and some food, and we played games. So it was an exciting opportunity. And in our organization, we started a food processing, seeing the way post-harvest waste is really, really high. And so we are looking forward to building a biodigester if we have the funding, because we are already producing a lot of waste from the food that we do process. And so it will be very interesting if we have a biodigester that will help in managing the waste that comes out from all these the food and the vegetables that we do produce. And so you can see why I was so excited with the first presenter when Leland was talking about bio waste. I could really see how whenever I hear of waste, I know waste is not waste. Waste is very important. Waste can really be used. But in our very, very local community, we need to empower quite a lot of children and homes. We're also trying to see how we will train the different families in the communities, how to select this waste. If we will be using their waste in the future, we have to train them how to select the waste and how to separate the waste that can be used for us and really keep the environment healthy. So thank you again. It was exciting, and we look forward to sharing again more opportunities as we support each other in collaboration.
Yeah, definitely. I can touch a bit on the bio-waste stuff. So I think there's enormous potential, and I think it's great how you said it's not waste. So we just have to think about different ways to utilize these products. And I think that biodigesters are awesome. I think just generally, if there's waste, it would be great to have more trials around the world where people take that waste and use it, kind of spread it out over an empty field where they're trying to restore it, and just see if that helps to regenerate ecosystems. Because we found essentially that it can attract insects, and then that attracts birds, which bring seeds, and then help to basically grow the forest back on its own. And we've had examples of this with just some kind of byproducts of agricultural production, but there's also some really cool work that's being done in the temperate zone, actually using sewage waste. And it's been tremendously helpful to actually compost it and spread that out and use it as a forest restoration tool as well. So I think there's tons and tons of different ways that you can use this stuff. But again, like echoing what you said, it's not waste. We just need to repurpose our resources and basically think about how to be more efficient with what we have, rather than just essentially discarding it.
Yes, it just falls on me to thank our speakers. Because Marilyn, we thank you for being the heart of what we're trying to do. I do realize that not everybody takes faith and belief in the same way, but we have the same goal. So thank you for bringing us through the spirituality and to recognize the importance of the eco-awareness amongst us, because we are aiming at the same thing. And Dr. Leyland, your science is always very not only convincing, but it propels us to do things that has a real impact. So it particularly talks to me when you say that the monitoring and the reporting of the work that needs to get together so that we know that we are together, because we all go around doing our own things. And I can see Marilyn's projects going on to your map that says what has been done, and things like that. If we can pull together, we are stronger. So hopefully that would in all levels happen. And taking from your know-how of the science involved, all the stories of how an individual can also take part, not just that they are big corporations or big projects, but each individual, if we can start to accumulate sort of like a know-how or what we can do as individuals, as small groups, as bigger groups, and then we can go on to form a movement and then report it back so that we can all share the stories and be encouraged by each other. That would be a really good way forward. And that's when Greshma comes in with your reach to the young people, to the open cafe that you will be running for us. Getting people to buy into the story is not difficult. Getting people to act on it is a little bit more difficult. Getting people to report on it, we will then start to become a movement. And for that, I have all our speakers to thank, all our participants to thank. We may not be a very big group, but we know that we have each other's support in taking the work forward. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I think I will conclude this webinar with your closing remarks. Thank you so much all for making this event very insightful, and thank you for joining us. Hopefully, I will see you all very soon in our next coming events.